And what we got loaded right now is we got the Ravencoin core wallet. So if I close this out, after you download the Ravencoin wallet, the 2.0.4, and if you type in Raven, when you start typing in Ravencoin, the very first one that's going to come up is the main wallet, is the core. But under there, you'll also have the testnet, and that's what we're opening today right now. And when you open the testnet, you're going to have a different colored splash screen. And in this, you see some immature Raven coins that are still being verified on the network because this machine solo mined on the testnet. And if I click on that, you can see some of these are almost there. So earlier, I kicked this off today just to let it run while I was trying to finish some stuff up. And let's see if we can expand this. And you can see that essentially at about 1351, it's got about 21 more blocks left before it can verify or validate those 5,000 coins. And then those will be in there. Those were mined. I did send a test from another machine that already had coins on the testnet just for this video because I figured that the ones that I solo mined would not be available. And you can see the 25,000 coins were mined on the testnet with just the CPU. There's not a lot of hash power on the testnet, nor should there be. That's somebody spending some cycles there. And then I sent 10,000 coins over to this RVN account too. And I created an asset called BBT on the testnet, and I sent 10,000 of that asset to this wallet just to show the transaction stuff. But what we're going to get into is a few things. So when you download this the first time, you can come into here under the debug window and then under console, and depending what kind of processor you got, even if you have a Celeron processor on your rig, your test rig, or whatever rig you got, or even your home computer, or whatever you want to do, if you download this wallet, you can come into this little console spot right here and you can type in set generate. You want to set that to true, and then you want to tell it how many cores you want to assign. Now this machine's got 2 cores and 2 virtual processors, so you can only assign the main cores. And so this machine's only got 2, so we're going to say 2. And then if I kick that on, it's now mining locally with just the CPU, and it will mine to whatever the default address is on the wallet. So now it's mining, and what we'll be able to see if we go into Task Manager is you're going to see under your performance that's going to thread the processor out to about 50%. If we just sit there and let this run, there's a chance that right now we are at 25,000 immature tokens. If this goes up to 30,000, we found a block. Right, so that's how that works. You could technically do this on the current main Ravencoin net from a CPU, earn a 5,000 reward block. Who knows? It hasn't happened yet, but it's one of those things that mathematically it could happen. So I just let it run. It doesn't use up a lot of power. Look at that. We just got 5,000. We just got another one. There's 30,000 immature now. We just earned another 5,000 coin block, and that's with an i3 2 cores being assigned to it. It is all random chance as it's going through and trying to solve that. And if it wins a block and it broadcasts that to the network, which it just did, we'll get those 5,000 coins in the test network. So then that gets you some test coins. So like now that'll take some time. You can see this one's now going to say that it's not going immature for 99 more blocks. For 100 blocks, it's got to get through, right, until it will mature those tokens to your wallet. So this one's almost done now. We still got 17 more blocks before it gets there. Now we already have, again, 10,000 available, and what that allows us to do is to get into this asset. It allows us to create one. So if we want to create an asset, I'm going to show you guys functionally how we do this, and then I'm going to get into the whiteboard and explain kind of some different things of why a simple interface that works both on a computer and provided the mobile wallets have this same feature. I believe strongly that if the mobile wallets have a very ease of use between sending and receiving like any other token, and your computer wallets all have around the same exact functionality, that you could really see this not just from a token creation platform, but really spreading out different use cases. And I'm going to get into a few that allows you to just create your own little ecosystem because of the small cost of entry to getting into creating these things. So if we go in here and do a create asset, we can name it. I'm going to use this use case by creating this. So I'm going to call this my clan BBT, all one word here, for like a token for, let's say, an MMO, right? MMO to manage DKP. I'm going to just say, Like I want to manage a process here that allows me to tokenize it on a platform that just can have people download wallets, and then I can issue out, a token to them that's related to something that matters to us just individually. Like the people that I'm working with or doing stuff with. The amount of things that you could use this system for really opens it up. And why, like you could do this same thing with centralized systems or an Excel sheet or anything else, but having it on a network that allows you to right out of the gate go with 3 different devices, such as a cell phone, and that allows you to do a lot of different stuff. So I'm going to say Clan BBT DKP for anybody that's not like a total like gaming nerd. And I don't even know if it's used that much, but back in the day, we used to use DKP as dragging kill points. It's like if you are a participant in a game, an MMO game, you were issued out a token essentially in the game that would be measured just by the whatever clan you were with or whatever guild or group that you were with, and it was a way for you as a participation reward to buy equipment that dropped, right? So it's a real valid thing that still occurs to these days. There's entire people have built systems around it, but I'm just using this as an example. Now, the first bit here is going to be like how many quantity are going to be created. 100,000. Let's do, a whole bunch. 100 million or so. Let's see here. How many zeros we got here? That's 10 million. Let's do another 0 here. And then how many decimals do we want to let it go? On this case, we're going to go high on the full units and low on the little units, because some things might be worth a quarter. And then right now I'm just doing it to my current address. I'm not issuing it to anybody. We want to have that box checked that it's issuable because we want to be able to submit it to people. Let's check availability real quick and make sure it's good. The asset is valid when you hit this check availability, which makes this create accessible. So now, this is what, 10 million points or something of Clan BBT DKP. Create. It's going to tell me 500 Raven to create this. Now, Raven right now at a couple cents a piece, about $10 or so. Even if it was $20, $25 to create, an initial asset that you can now from this point on issue out to people for your own volition. It doesn't have, notice I'm staying away from the whole idea of like ICOs or issuing out tokens that may be worth or consumed at some point. You can go down that road, but I'm looking at just all the other reasons that you could use this platform on top of it. There's going to be tons of people covering STOs and all the securities traded tokens and all that kind of stuff. But I'm looking at a lot of the other functionality of an asset system and thinking of how it will be programmatically, where if like a game or somebody else wanted to use this as the back end for their transaction system, at least for the major category items, it'd be very interesting. So there's a transaction that broadcasted to the network. And now it's going to do that deduction, which it did. It's got to broadcast that, and then it's got to get picked up that this occurred. So there's got to be some confirmations on this. So it broadcasted through 5 nodes here, and now it's transmitted this. It issued out the 500 Raven to the network for the creation of that. Now, from my understanding, this is a burn function. If there's anybody in here from Raven that can confirm that to create this, this actually burns the token. I don't know if that's an exact 100%. Yeah, it is a burn function. It's still a burn function. So will it be implemented in a mainnet as a burn function? I don't know. I mean, since Ravencoin is finite, obviously mathematically, if you burned 500 every time, if you create it, it's just a math problem of how many in creations do you need to get to the point that you have no Raven left. There's a cost function to that, and supply and demand should limit the amount of assets that are created over a long, it's a very high number. At 500 a time, and there's 21 billion coins that would be issued. There's quite a few assets that can be created at that. But it's one of those things. This is an open network. I mean, it could be adjusted if there was enough consensus behind it. When you start messing with the monetary policy of coins, we all know that bad things usually occur unless they're broadcasted way in advance, like Bitcoin's schedule. Yeah, so like if you were doing like a ticket system or something, or if you're like hosting a dinner and you were selling tickets to something, I mean, there's a range of things that you can do with a system like that. And I mean, that's now, if Ravencoin stays at 2 cents, not too bad of a deal. It's 500 coins, and you could create an entire ecosystem. And that's how you pull people into the ecosystem too, is you go create this asset out there, and you say, hey, I'm going to track these things on there because I want to keep a unit value to them. And then it's not about is that token worth money? It's more for just a tracking purpose, and you made a commitment of a system out there. For like the DKP thing I was talking about, or friends that play D&D online that live apart from each other, and just like the gaming side of it and the gaming aspects and the game and accountability to an asset to a particular function or a feature, having that to where you have a Ravencoin wallet with a little bit of Raven in there, and then you can spin up all these different assets, and then everybody that goes out and downloads an iOS wallet or whatever else, you can now you create this, and if you send them just enough, let's say you send them 5 RVN a piece, you're sending them nothing, right? I mean, next to nothing right now. I mean, at 2 cents a piece, right? You're talking 10 cents of Raven to them, because there's a little nominal fee for the Ravencoin on there, right? So when they're sending stuff back and forth with each other, if you go out and create an asset and give it a name, whatever that name is, and give it a value. As for that, like that DKP example, DKP, all the drag and kill points is very simple. You have 40 people together, and you all raid something, and only 4 pieces of items drop. You keep track of who's been there for what, and you issue them out points. Those points have a value to something, internally to them. But let's say they earn 45 points per, for that one task, and then one guy already had 90. Well, he wants to spend. The issuer, which would be the guild or the clan or whoever, would be the owner of that bucket, right? And then this was just that's the treasury of that they can send out to stuff. And then you're sending it back to say, hey, I'm spending 25 points on this item, and then you put that little metadata with it. And now you have this thing where you're not keeping track of it in a spreadsheet and all this other stuff. It's out on a blockchain. This isn't really a self-function to Raven. What I'm trying to say is that there's a feature out there that I like. I thought about doing this on Ethereum, of having like just a little token, like spinning up another token. I also actually tried this out on Waves platform, which works the same way. You can spin up a token on Waves. It costs you a little bit of Ethereum to do. But as things go way up in price, and this is kind of the counterpoint to like if Raven went to like $1 a coin, it would cost you $500 to create an asset, right? So I mean, $500 is a very expensive cost for this kind of ecosystem, and you start losing some of the value of. That started looking pretty bad there, so I had to close that loop. You create this interesting scenario to where it costs you 500 Raven to create an asset, and then if that asset, because of the issuer is who you have a trust with, or you've created a ecosystem around it of whatever asset you've issued out to them, you create this kind of micro economy under that asset. And again, this isn't like saying somebody is owing you something, or it's truly a security at the end of the day, right? Like what you're creating. But if you have RVN and you, as whatever entity you are, create an asset underneath that, and you limit it, you're putting a limit on it, saying that you're part of whatever group or whatever, and you're going to issue out that asset at 10,000 of them, and that will be all that's ever done with that ticker. You have this interesting situation where Ravencoin could go to like 5 cents a coin, and that this is worth far more, because people want that in their wallet. And what I like from this basic interface is the start of this is simple. The interface is simple. It's the standard wallet that a lot of people already know, and it's a ability of just being able to create one very quickly.